You've got mail. Oh, wait, not if you're homeless. Hey everyone, hope you're having a good one. Today's topic is about mail. I had no idea how trying it would be to get mail when you don't have a house. And I find it really irritating that I can go to a post office and pay full price for a stamp, and someone else who lives in a house can go to the post office and they pay the exact same amount for a stamp. And yet when I need mail, it's a very different story than when a person in a house needs mail, needs to receive it. If you're in a house, the government will buy a whole fleet of peculiar looking vehicles, maintain them with gas and oil and tires and everything else, hire a whole army of people to drive them around so you can get mail right to your front door, or at least to at the bottom of your driveway. And yet, if you're homeless and you go to the post office and say, hey, I need a little one of those itty bitty boxes, they're like, you've got to pay for that. It's like, let me get this straight. So if you come to me, I don't have to pay anything extra, but if I come to you, I've got to pay you. And then you get the application. And in order to get a P.O. box, you have to have a physical address. It's a must. Even if you go to a mailbox store that's not part of the government government's still in regulation of that mail. And you have to have proof of residency in order to receive mail, in order to get a box, which I was flabbergasted. I went to one mailbox store and they actually asked for the title of your home. And I'm like, why do you need the title to my home or anything? I just want to get mail. I'm a citizen. I have proper ID. I have the money for it. But that's not good enough, not in America. And there's a thing called general delivery, which I was told about, which certain areas are cool about it. Other areas are just awful with it. Silver City in New Mexico is awful. There's one place in LA which works best for me, and it was just a horrendous experience. I went there for years because it was, like I said, it's what worked best for me. I needed to go to that post office for a reason. And technically you're supposed to do it like 30 days and that's it. Well, when you don't have a house, you need it for more than 30 days. And I was very conscientious about using it. I would only have stuff sent to me 3 to 4 times a year. And it was still highly problematic with this one employee who was just a witch. I mean, she looked like a witch actually, and she always had her long straggly hair covering her name tag, and then the name tag around her neck she always had flipped backwards, and I didn't even have to go in there to pick up mail. I would go in there to like send stuff out or just to pick up some stamps, and she's always highly hostile towards me and just really disrespectful. And just because you get a job with the government, it shouldn't be for life. If you're not doing your job, or if you're doing it in a really piss poor manner. I mean, there needs to be checks and balances. But I'd only go in there 3 to 4 times a year. She habitually threatened not to give me my mail, and I would come there the very day it would come in. I mean, I would call the 800 number, which would always piss them off, and I'd get there so it wasn't laying around, so it wasn't taking up space. But no matter what I did, it was a problem. My existence was a problem. And I finally did. I was able to get it okay to get a P.O. box there. It didn't wind up taking place. I went in, and that woman was working, and while I was waiting, this other woman came in and just was going psychotic, and she was flipping out because she wanted to park where I parked. Well, I mean, whether you're in a small town or big town, you're not the only person in the world. People do get places before you, and this woman had the audacity to come in. She was screaming and name calling me, and I just stopped her, and I was very calm. I didn't swear, or I didn't return her vile behavior back to her. I just stayed calm. I said, ma'am, that's my vehicle. I'm parked legally, and by the way, I'm not the idiot that you're claiming. Thank you very much. And this evil Rose, the employee, she went and got the postmaster of that branch. She actually made up all these lies about how I was screaming and yelling and name calling, the customer. And it's like, A, I'm a customer also, and 2, that's what she did to me. I didn't do that to her. And while I was talking to the postmaster, this prickly pear went out into the parking lot and had the gall to come in and spread all these lies about me. And she was screaming that this employee was yelling, she's parked illegally, she's a liar, liar, liar. And she was just going on. And I was like, seriously, ma'am, what is your problem? You're hostile to me every time I come in here. Please tell me, what is it? What is the issue? And then she said she had never seen me before. She had no idea. And I'm like, I have receipts from this post office, from you. Like, I've been coming here for years. What is the problem? And she just went on with lies. And the postmaster stopped the process. She insisted we go outside because she needed to check up on my parking. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so we go outside, and it's proven that I'm telling the truth, and that her employee is lying and highly disrespectful and slandering me in front of like this room full of people. And instead of apologizing to me, because I was parked legally, I had every legal right to be where I was. Instead of apologizing, this woman had the gall to snap around at me and say, you better watch the way you talk to my customers. And it's just like, ma'am, I was so mad. It's like, I am a customer. Just because I'm homeless doesn't mean I'm not a citizen, doesn't mean I'm not a customer. And I mean, and I even had my mother even called there because she's like, what do you mean my daughter's not getting her mail? I've paid first class to have this sent, and now you refuse to do the rest of the job. Like, your job is to deliver mail. And even my mother was like, wow, this woman is really cantankerous. But so general delivery is, depending on where you are, it's more of a short-term thing, which it really needs to be changed. There's lots of room to improve with the mail, because like I said, the mailboxes, you have to have a certain piece of information, which I found it difficult to get. The people I thought I could count on, I actually couldn't. But I did have someone who did help me out on that. And it was really a pistol, because one person who always talked about being a good neighbor and never was. And it's like, I just need to borrow this piece of paper. And he'd already told me lots of personal things about him, so it'd be nothing new that I wouldn't know. And he was like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, could you just come down with me? I just need someone with an address. We can both be on it. You don't need to have your mail sent there, and I'll pay for it. And it's like, no. I'm like, so much for being a good neighbor. So, but I eventually got it taken care of. But it is highly problematic. And with a P.O. box, you can't have, like, banks and other businesses will not send to a P.O. box. So, P.O. box isn't actually like an answer. You need something with a regular address, or rules need to change, and banks and such need to be allowed to send wherever you tell them to send. And that is a problem. I have one guy I know, his bank card, the strip on it, like the magnetic strip, has come off. It's just gone. So unless a company is willing to type it in, he can't buy anything. So for food, I mean, he has the money, but he's having to, try to get his phone charged up, then go try to find a Wi-Fi spot, and then call it, or, email it in, however they do that. And he said half the time, he gets there and there's a glitch and they don't even have his order. So he has to, hike, and just go through the whole process. It's very problematic, and his bank will not send it to him. He's tried to have him send it to, different addresses, and they see that it's not a residential one, so they won't send him a new card. And it's a bank that they don't have a branch here. And, you can say, well, why doesn't he open up at a different branch? Well, what does that take? An address, which he doesn't have. And also, to get an ID, which I know several people don't have a proper or valid IDs. They've expired because they don't have an address to have them be sent to. And as for shelters, they're so problematic, and they're really just designed for street homeless. And I know the one I checked into, it's like, well, you can do it, but, and they had this laundry list of buts, like everything you couldn't have sent. And I was just like, could you clarify what exactly may I have sent here? Because it's really like, we really have a lot of things that can't be sent. And they also had very restrictive times that you could come pick up your mail. It's only for like 2-3 hours or something in the afternoon. The parking was horrendous. They only had about 3 spots, and then 2 further up you really needed to park a block or 2 away, which is problematic for me. And it's not uncommon for shelters not to have parking, and like this one did. And street homeless, they just really don't give a damn about anything, a lot of them. And they would just stand in the parking spots, and I mean, you can pull up and honk your horn and what have you, but then they're eyeing up your car and everything, and it's just like, oh, Lord have mercy. I hope my car and all my few possessions I have in it are still there. It's just a little bit too unnerving to go get mail. It's just never has worked out with the shelter because it's not very helpful. But and it's been frustrating too, because when I'd go up north, I had friends and I would use their address, and the one time I was waiting and waiting. I'm like, what the heck? It should have been here. And my friend was like, well, I'll go. My friend works at the post office. I'll ask her. Come to find out, it had come in like a week and a half prior. But this numbnut, and it was like addressed to my friend with, take care of or in care of, and had all the right information, but she didn't recognize my name. So she wouldn't put it in the box. She didn't tell her friend that, peculiar, something came with, her name and another person's name on it. And she put it in general delivery and just had it sitting there. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like so frustrating when it's like, if you have a piece of mail with, hey, it belongs to this P.O. box, and you have a P.O. box with that number, we'll match them up. Like, it's not your responsibility to return to sender without, proper authority from the person who is supposed to be getting it. Only they are supposed to say return to sender. And you're not supposed, why are you putting it in a general mail? It wasn't sent to general mail. It was sent to a P.O. box. Oh my gosh, it's like so frustrating. But yeah, so there's a lot of room to improve. There really needs to be either general delivery for homeless, where you can get mail like once a month. When I did general delivery, it was 3 to 4 times a year, so I really am flabbergasted that it was such a crisis and issue. But there needs to be something where you can either get a P.O. box or there needs to be something. There's room to improve, and with today's electronics and having everything tracked, there's no reason not to have a better solution for this, because to leave this section of population just hang is not right. So, alrighty, well, you take care, and God bless you. Have a good one.